everyone, it's Elizabeth from Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So today I'm going to give you my November 2024 astrological forecast. I'm going to start off with an introduction and then I'll go into each of the ascendants and or sun signs you pick, maybe listening to both. So this month in November 2024, we have a new moon in Scorpio, a full moon in Taurus. And we have a Mercury retrograde. So let's get into it. So what stood out for me for this new moon in Scorpio? First of all, the new moon in Scorpio is at 9 Scorpio, 35 minutes on the 1st of November at 5:47 a.m. And that's Pacific time. So there was two things that really stood out. The big one, I guess, would be that both Mars as well as Pluto are in opposition to each other, but not only in opposition, but they're at that critical anorectic degree of 29 degrees in their respective signs. And so this says something big is coming to a culmination. And certainly Mars opposition Pluto can bring in sort of malefic type energy. We can expect, I would say, some real underhanded things being done. But also them being exposed, right? Don't forget, Pluto is all about revealing the truth. There could even be an involvement of the military here. But certainly that whole confrontation of the old, right? That has to go. Remember that we have Pluto still at that 29 degrees of Capricorn. The other thing that stood out for me is that I don't talk about fixed stars that often, but there is a fixed star called Arcturus, and it is at 10 degrees of Scorpio, awfully close to the degree of the new moon. Now, the meaning that is basically given to Arcturus is a leader is seeking a better life for all. And as it links to the sun, right? It gives it even more energy in that type of thing. We have Mercury at 28 degrees of Scorpio will be opposing Uranus in Taurus. So this is unexpected news of some sort coming in. And with that involvement of Scorpio, these tend to be like secrets and things like that, right? We've got a wide square between Venus and a retrograde Saturn. And this just takes things that could be sweet. It just takes the sweetness off it. So it's kind of like dealing with stuff, perhaps dealing with stuff like values. Venus can stand for values. It can stand for money. It can stand for love. Certainly if you have something around these degree points, it could just be a stall in a relationship. Not a permanent one necessarily. Venus also in Sagittarius will oppose Jupiter. And remember, both Venus and Jupiter are benefics, Venus being the lesser benefic and Jupiter being the greater. And with Jupiter in Gemini and Venus in Sagittarius, we're looking here at, again, we're going back to this sort of information coming out. Here, I think this stands for Venus in the sense of women. And we could have this big sort of energy with regards to information coming out about women and the future of our women, right? Maybe even some legal aspects around this too, because both Jupiter and Sagittarius stand for the legal profession, amongst other things too, right? Now, the moon and the sun themselves in Scorpio have a wide trine to Saturn. And so this is a positive thing. This is, people working together to bring in rules, regulations, that type of thing, right? Jupiter nicely trines Chiron. And I think this is excellent too. Chiron's all about sort of healing type energy, and Jupiter's about putting a focus or opening that up in a positive way with the trine. We have a grand trine, and that occurs in water signs, we have Mars in Cancer, we have Mercury, as well as Neptune. And this is a beautiful energy. So, this is kind of like with the Mars part of it, bringing in this beautiful energy of let's move forward with some of these things. I get this feeling of optimism with this, especially with the Neptune bringing in inspiration. It's almost like I get this big rise up of, I think it's the people um, being optimistic and inspired in a very high way, in a global way. And then, of course, we do have Uranus sextiling Neptune. That's kind of an ongoing thing as they go retrograde and go direct. And that I view as opportunities to express your spirituality, to be inspired. It can also, if you've got these sort of degree points, so we're looking at the latter degrees of both Pisces and Taurus. This can bring in some opportunities for beautiful music, writing beautiful music, dance, even something to do with the film industry as well. All right, so that new moon in Scorpio definitely is active for us, right? Now, I know that we've got the election in the USA on the 5th of November. There are a lot of astrologers that have covered this. I'm not going to do a lot of detail on this. My view is that it's really the inauguration that's going to show who is going to be the president as well as the vice president of the USA. And so that's going to be in my January prediction. But I will just say a few things about the 5th of November. I looked the 5th of November at around 8 p.m. Pacific. That's kind of when a lot of the polls will have closed. And we have Mercury as well as Venus in positive, outgoing Sagittarius. So these are positive messages, right? And perhaps positive messages being delivered by a woman. We have Mercury in Sagittarius and its trine that Mars in Cancer. Well, actually, Mars is not in Cancer at that time. It's just out of Cancer, but it's still in a trine with Mercury because Mars is at 0 degrees of Leo. Now, we're still going to have that Mars opposing Pluto at this time. It's all within orb, right? A few degrees. And so this emphasized that whole ruthlessness, along with culminating energies of that 29-degree mark of Pluto, right? We also have the moon is going to be in, I would say, conservative, stable Capricorn. And so I see that as a stabilizing factor with regards to this can represent the people being conservative and not being fired up, that type of thing. But don't forget that Mars opposing Pluto is pretty powerful too. So we have on the 7th November, we have transiting Mercury is going to be at 6 degrees of Sagittarius. And of course, that is going to be indicating it's now in shadow. And it will be trining the North Node in Aries. This is excellent. So this says to me that that whole Mercury retrograde, which starts which starts on the 26th of November and ends on the 15th, is very much going to be involved with our destiny path, right? So this is going to be some kind of behind the scenes look in that Mercury retrograde period. So now we're going to be going up to look at that full moon in Taurus. And this is also a very powerful moon too. It is going to be at 24 Taurus 0 minutes on the 15th of November at 1:28 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So this same day, the 15th of November, we're also going to have Saturn going direct at 12 Pisces 41 minutes. So this is significant. This says to me some move forward with regards to those old institutions. Saturn many times can refer to the old, right? Can also refer to karma. But I see this as this Saturn going direct, that it's a new step in a new direction, um, with our rules, with our regulations, with our institutions. There's a turn here, right? There's an ending with this full moon. Significantly, this moon conjuncts Uranus. And so this does indicate some kind of unexpected events happening, perhaps with the people. Maybe some protests of some sort may happen here. If you have this around in your chart, so this would be 24 Taurus, there may be some sudden upsets for you around this time. Now, sometimes these upsets can go in a positive way, not necessarily a negative way. Certainly, if you're waiting and wanting something to end or to culminate, or you want to move on from something, this full moon could give you that energy with Uranus conjunct it. We have the moon in a wide sextile with Neptune, and then the moon also has a wide trine with Pluto. And again, to me, this is tying in the people and truth coming out, but also a lot of inspiration around the people at this time. And we have Mercury in Sagittarius will be trining Chiron. And that's just bringing positive messages for healing. Mars now in Leo has a wide trine to the North Node, but so this also indicates some forward movement with regards to our destiny path. But we still have at this time, even though it's moved on from the new moon in Scorpio, this full moon within orb still has that Mars, now in Leo, opposing Pluto in Capricorn. I'm going to say happy birthday to my daughter Allison. She was born on this day. So hopefully there's something positive that'll be wrapping up for her. Happy birthday. So when we move on to the 20th of November, wow, this is significant. Pluto will be at 0 degrees and some minutes of Aquarius. So this is pretty monumental in the sense that in the first time in our lifetime, we are going to have Pluto now in Aquarius for the next 20 years or so. And I've done a whole video on this. If you want to know more about it, see the link below. But this is really positive. And certainly for those Aquarians listening or watching this, lots of change ahead for you, lots of transformation. And don't think transformation has to be negative, right? But certainly for the people, if we generalize Aquarius to the people, this is big change ahead for us as humanity in all our respective countries, right? On the 22nd of November, we have that sun goes into positive, optimistic Sagittarius. And certainly for those folks that are viewers or clients that are Sagittarians, this is the start of your part of the year that celebrates you, Sagittarius. The 26th of November, we have the Mercury retrograde starting at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. So this Mercury retrograde will stay in Sagittarius. It does go back into the latter degrees, around 6 degrees of Sagittarius. On the 15th of December, it'll be going forward again. And I think this could bring in a number of things. Sagittarius can stand for anything foreign. So this will be negotiations behind the scenes, discussions behind the scenes with foreign nations, foreign people. It also represents the law. And so there could also be behind the scenes things done regarding the law during that Mercury retrograde period too. I've spoken about this a few times, this Mercury retrograde. It does hark back to the Mercury retrograde that started last year in 2023, that ended the beginning days of January 2024, so that's this year. It began its direct motion at that 22 degrees of Sagittarius, which is where the retrograde starts this time round. So there's some connection in with that period of time too. So that would be the latter part of December 2023 and that first few days of January 2024. All right, what about December? Let's give you a little peek in December. So, Sagittarius, you have your new moon at 9 Sagittarius. We're going to have a full moon at 23 degrees of Gemini. Um, and there will be two new moons in December, but in particular, Capricorn, you have your second new moon of the year at 9 Capricorn on the 30th of December this year. So pay attention to things that come in, especially new things at this time. And it's right like at that whole time period, right of the new year. Mars will be retrograde at that time. And Mercury will also be going direct mid-December. All right, folks. Now, what I'd like to do is to go on and look at the individual ascendants and or sun signs you pick. It might be a good idea to listen to or watch both your sun sign as well as your ascendant. So, Taurus. Well, we know that you've got your full moon this month, right? And then you got the new moon happening at the beginning of the month in Scorpio, opposite to you. So, first of all, that new moon is a new start, but it's in your seventh house and it opposes you. So, this puts a focus on your partnerships, your business partnerships, your marriage partnerships, your clients, any other person. So, it's you sitting here looking at the other people. You're going to have to do some kind of new start with somebody, some group, maybe a business partnership of some sort. Now, we do have that opposition that's happening of Mars and Pluto. So there could be some element of confrontation. It doesn't mean it has to be bad, but there may be an element of a confrontation here with regards to that new start, right? And maybe it's the business partnerships where you want something, they want something, and you're having to go back and forth, and maybe you're not happy with everything that's going on. Maybe you're not happy in your marriage partnership as well. It just really means that there's an opportunity for a new start here and work together. You have to work together with oppositions, right? It's not all about you. When we look at that full moon, as I said, it is in your sign. So that's your first house. So there's going to be some Taurians that will wrap something up here around the 15th of November. Wrap something up perhaps to do with a real estate project of some sort. Maybe something to do with money. Maybe an investment of some sort too. I'm looking at all things that are kind of Taurus type things, right? Maybe it's to do with a real estate thing. You finally wrap up buying or selling that home. Just see what else. I'm going to look at my charts here that I got in front of me. Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is, Taurus, is that that same day that you have your full moon, we have Saturn going direct at the same time. So certainly if you've been held back by some rules or regulation or some institution of some sort, this is kind of your green light to go forward, right? To set those plans in place that you want to set in place. And I mean, that Saturn going direct sextiles you, right? Because it is in a water sign. So it's positive opportunities could come up for you at this. Even though there's an ending, Taurus, there's positive opportunities for you to put some structure that you've wanted to put in place and had been held back from doing. Yeah. Now, when we look at the Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, that falls in your 8th house. Quite simply, I saw this and I said, wow, this transit could give some Taurians an opportunity to put together and plan their future with regards to their money. So usually we're looking at anything to do with retirement, 401ks, any of your investments. If you have pensions, your pensions. It just could be a time where you carefully go over all this, right? And consider what you need to do. From some Taurians, it may just be that you decide during this retrograde period, during the latter days of November up to the 15th of December, you start finding out how you can retire, how you need to, start getting these monies from where you've been investing, where you've got anything to do with say, a 401k or a pension? What do I have to do to access that money? This would be a good Mercury retrograde to do that. Or just generally speaking, planning your retirement. What do I need to do here? Maybe consult with some financial advisors and start considering that area of your life. All right. You've still got Uranus in your sign, Taurus, but it's hovering around the 24-degree mark. So you would have to have something around that degree point for you to have something significant happen. A lot of Taurians have already had big, major changes in their life. Take care of yourself, Taurus. All right, folks. Well, that's what I've got to say for November 2024. It's a pretty powerful month of big change. I'm wishing everybody all the best. And for those folks that are in the USA, happy Thanksgiving. And then, of course, we've got Christmas after that. So that'll be my next video. I will be doing my December video. I'm also still in the planning stages of doing a live, like I did last year, a live podcast of some sort, as well as video, so that I can go over my idea of what 2025 is for each of you individually. Stay tuned for that. Subscribe and sign up, hit that bell, because then you get notified anytime I announce, say, something like my live forecast. And you can be on there and talk back and forth with me live. I love doing that type of thing. So stay tuned for that. Please take good care of yourself. Remember that also the sun will go into Sagittarius on the 22nd of November. And I've always looked forward to, I'm a Sagittarian by sun sign, and I always look forward to that time period because there's always that little boost up of optimism and positiveness when the sun goes in at that time. So there's also that to look forward to in November too. Sending everybody lots of love, lots of optimism, and happy times. Please take care of yourself. Reach out to me if you would like me to do, say, your year ahead forecast. All my contact info is below. Bye for now.